I am live. I'm by myself today. Um, Paul's at a Jaguars party looking to win their um, game today so they can win their division and head for the playoffs. And um, Jason, Coach Heckwell, is taking a break. Hopefully, he'll return soon. Sometime this upcoming week, we're going to have a special about the future of Iowa football. I don't know when we're going to do that. We're waiting to see any more changes, any more additions, substitutions, and stuff from the football team pop up. But this podcast is about basketball mostly and wrestling. So let's start with the women's game. I don't know how many of you guys watched the women's game today. It was on Fox, first time they'd ever put anything on Fox. Iowa women win today, 94 to 85. They were down 10 points in the first quarter, I believe, and then rallied to come back and come within two at halftime, and just started building their lead after that. They started building the lead up to as many as 14 points, and they win by 9. And that's where it stayed. It stayed mostly in the 7 to 9, 10 range from about midway in the fourth quarter. It pretty much stayed that way through the whole game. As usual, um, Caitlin Clark came through with 28 points. Sonano came through with 19. Warnock had 14, and Martin had 10. I wasn't able to get all the others, but I know Gabby Marshall had a couple baskets. Um, Molly Davis had a couple baskets. Uh, uh, I think Hannah had a couple of baskets as well, but I couldn't get their scores. And Michigan was led by Leah Brown with 20 and Emily Kaiser with 19. Something I noticed in this game, and it plagues the men too, that whenever teams guard the Iowa men or women really, really tight, I mean, they're like hand checking, they're bumping, and they're being getting physical, just getting in your face. Both the men and the women have a tendency to not do well, and I know that in the first quarter that was the case. For some reason, Michigan's they let up on their defense. In the second quarter and then the second half, they weren't playing it as tight or as physical as they were, and then Michigan started getting called for more fouls. I know in the first quarter, I don't think Michigan got called for any fouls, maybe one. And so, but but that disparity caught up to there because Iowa went to the free throw line 17 times and got 17 points out of it. And guess who the one miss was? It was Caitlin on a on a no, I'm sorry, not on a 1-on-1, but on a two-shot foul. And so that was crazy. Okay, so that she would miss it. Otherwise, they'd have been 18-18. Michigan only went to the line 7 times today and hit six, so they also only missed one today. But all in all, it was the usual entertaining game. I didn't get the rest of the stats. They're incomplete. I tried to go all over the internet, and usually they're out there in real time, so I could find the stats. So I could have all for you. But so I don't know the reboundings, the assists, or anything like that. But just that the women really came through today, and that was a big win. After losing to Illinois, Iowa dropped behind Michigan in the standings, I think, and Michigan was like a couple of spots in the ahead of Iowa, and so I think the one thing that's going to be key for the women this year is how they bounce back and how they answer. Like how Michigan did, got out to a 10-point lead in the first quarter and basically just totally dominating Iowa. Iowa had turnovers galore in that game. Um, yeah, I didn't get the turnovers either, but they had quite a few at one point in the first quarter. They started out the game with like six turnovers just to start the game, and so But I think the key is because you've got Illinois, who's an improving team, and they're going to make some noise. Michigan is one of the teams to beat. Ohio State's one of the teams to beat. And so you've got those teams that Iowa's going to be competing with. And this game with Michigan was so important because it's the only time they were going to play Michigan this year. And so I that is just really an important win for Iowa. Now they got Ohio State coming up. I think they said January 28th. They're got circling that one. So Iowa and Ohio State. Hopefully Iowa gets them at home. Okay, so all in all, great win for the women this week, and so let's go over to the men's side. Okay, the men, they are currently 9-6 and 1-3 in the Big Ten after coming from 21 points down to beat Indiana. I guess you could say upset Indiana. Number one, Indiana is favored to win the Big Ten, but I don't know how they're favored when Purdue is ranked number one in the league. So Purdue's probably the favorite this year. And so, all right. So Chris Murray does his usual thing. He gets 30 points. Doesn't look like he's hurting. This is the first game we're playing without Patrick McCaffrey, who you guys all know by now is taking a leave of absence and until he feels better about his anxiety issues and stuff. But he was at the game and cheering his teammates on. And so, but Philip Rabracha, who's really come on this year, and he needed to come on this year. He scored 19 points, but he's gonna run into some huge guys at the center spot pretty soon. The guys at Purdue and Indiana, and not Indiana, but Ohio State and stuff. Got some pretty big guys there in the center, and so we're gonna need more out of Riley McColvey. He only came in for the game for about a minute, 13 seconds the other night. 0 points. I will say this: both Philip Rakacha and Riley McColvey, they both look like they bulked up this year. But we're going to need more out of Riley when he comes into the game because Phillips. It stands to reason that he's going to have some trouble. He's going to have foul trouble. Because this is a rough Big Ten league. He's not going to make it all the way through like he did the other night. I think they said they got 38 minutes out of him, which is really good. Okay, so that's cool, especially with you guys know the big guy, name slipping my mind and it shouldn't. Ogilvy, Ungundale, Joshka Ungundale. With him out with a knee injury right now, we don't know how bad the knee injury is and how long he's going to be out. But if it's a serious knee injury, we're not going to see him the rest of the year. And so we're going to need him to come. We're going to need McColvey, and they're going to have to really do some line switching. Look for Chris Murray to do a lot of more in the 5 spot this year when Phillip is out of the game. So starter Eulis. I don't know what's going on with him. He also seems to be out of sorts a little bit. We remember during the 3-game losing streak, everybody mentioned that Patrick McCaffrey did not look like himself, looked like he wasn't into the game, and it turned out he wasn't. He was having anxiety issues, and he didn't have the stamina, the strength, or the focus to play. And it showed. It showed in all 3 games, and everybody was really getting down on him, on his play and everything. And I suppose everybody feels bad now that they find out what the reasoning was behind all that. Yeah. So, but that's what Eulis looks like. And he seems to be turnover prone a little bit on his dribbling. Also, Tony Perkins, he got 10 points. But he seems to over dribble too. He doesn't seem to. I don't know. It might be, but both Eulis and Perkins are both trying to over dribble because they're trying to penetrate and see what they can do, and it gets into trouble. And next thing you know, the ball's going the other way. And so I just really want to see those guys. We need those guys on the court. We need Eulis to do more than he's doing. We need him get his points, and we need for him to take care of the ball as we do Perkins. I expected Perkins to be a 10 to 12 point average this year, and I think he's right in that area. So we're going to really need those two guys. I mean, we got to play them. We don't have any choice. We can't bench them. Um, One of the other thing is Dante Bowen, who's coming off the bench in place of these guys, Perkins and Eulis. When it's time, he only had 2 points, but I think too he's trying to do too much. Maybe the coach wants him to, but he's trying to constantly drive the lane, and he's not that tall, and he's trying to lay in shots or go to the rim on shots where I just think he'd be better off passing the ball, or looking for a different shot, like a mid-range shot or something. But I mean, against weaker competition, yes, he's going to get it. He's going to drive the lane and get in and lay the ball in and get a few points. But right now, he only had 2 points the other night. Okay, but he's also, we're going to need him to step up too. And then, of course, there's Connor, who we call C-Mac, had 16 points. So he's doing very, very well compared to his last couple of years with the Hawkeyes. He's fully healthy. He's ready to go, and he's doing the things we need. And he needs to be that leader on the floor. He's the leader on the floor. He's the coach on the floor. I can see him leading a successful Division I basketball team sometime in the future. He's going to definitely be a coach to be reckoned with, and he's definitely as fiery as his dad. You saw the other night at the end of the game that everything that was going on with the coach Fran moving over to the Indiana coaching side, and the assistant coach talking to the referee, which is a no. They can't talk to the referee. And so I think the tee that was pulled up and taken away was more for the Indiana coach. I think everybody thought it was for Coach Fran, but I think it was on the Indiana assistant coach, and then they took it away. I believe. I mean, everybody thought it was on Fran them, but I wanted to say is after all that arguing and everything was going on, and they had to pull Coach Fran back. Did you notice they had to pull Connor back too because Connor was ready to go after everybody? Connor's much like his dad, and he's very, very vocal, and he'll defend his dad. He doesn't want anybody else or going after his dad or anything or any player. So I don't know who Connor was actually going to go after, but thank God his teammates and coaches held him back, or that could have been disastrous for the Hawkeyes because we probably could have lost him through suspension the way he was acting. Um, okay, so um, Josh Dix comes in. He hits a 3-pointer, but they were saying his defense looked good. That he was not so much his offense, but his defense that was looking pretty good while he was in the game. And these are the only guys that played. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. 9 guys. And you guys for years have been yelling for Coach McCaffrey to shorten up his rotation. Well, by attrition, he had no choice. He had no choice. Two things. He had to, one, play the younger guys more, and two, he had to shorten up his rotation. So that should keep you guys happy there. There. Okay. Iowa had 20 turnovers compared to Indiana's 12. Um, I did say Iowa won by 2 on that game, right? I believe they won by 2. Um, let's see. I think it was 91 to 89. Yeah, 91 to 89. And so, like I said, Coach T, I mean, things weren't going very well for the Iowa team. Coach gets teed up, and all of a sudden the team gets fired up. It seems like every time the coach gets teed up, most of the time the team comes flying back and gets back in the game. And so, I think that tee probably was intentional by coach. But there have been games where the tee has just ruined the team. There was several years ago where there was a Wisconsin game where he got teed up, and I think he got teed up twice and got escorted out of the game. In that game, and Iowa just never looked the same. And at that time, Iowa was in that game. I think they had a lead or something, and it just went to hell after that. The one thing too is a couple of things about the. I thought the refs were a little hesitant to call a lot of fouls in that game. And the one thing too, though, is I don't understand this refing crew. Hands down the cylinder, and then the ball goes in, but they don't call it goaltending. But they ruled it because it didn't affect the ball going in. The ball was going in no matter what. It's still. I mean, I don't believe it says that in the rule that I could be wrong, but somebody show me where it says in the rule that the referee can determine if it wasn't going to be affected. Hands were still on the cylinder. That's not allowed while the ball's still in the cylinder area. So um, everybody knows that. So I think that was one that Iowa had to overcome. Okay, and so anyway, I don't have much else to say about this game. It's just that these two wins for basketball were very good wins. Wins that Iowa needed to. They could not afford to go 1-4. I mean 0-4 in the Big Ten. And so yeah, they couldn't afford to do that. But they got a tough game tomorrow. I mean 9 a.m. my time, 11 a.m. Central Time at Rutgers tomorrow. That is going to be one tough game. Iowa has a hard time winning games there. I don't know if it's the balls or it's the basket, if it's the atmosphere around the baskets. I don't know. Iowa has always struggled there. Not that they haven't won there before, because they have, but it's always been a struggle. It's been a struggle. They either lose or just struggle to win. And right now, Rutgers is playing some pretty mean ball and pretty good ball themselves. So don't count Rutgers out. Iowa has to find a way to win this game to avoid going 1-4 in the Big Ten. They just have to find a way to win this game. They can't afford to lose if they want to be in the thick of the NCAA race for the playoffs, and if they want to be in the thick of the race for the Big Ten. They got to get their butts in gear and they got to get moving. They got to find a way to win these games. They got to hang on and do what they can until Patrick gets back, and if they get Gundule back, if they get Gundule back, we don't know if he's coming back this year. But if there's a chance he come back, they got to hang on. And these guys have just got to step up. Ulis has to step up and do thing. He can't overdo it. He still has to let the game come to himself. He's not letting the game come to himself. I think he's trying to force it, which is why he's not getting the minutes he should and the points that he should. Perkins is definitely trying to force it, but he's getting away with it right now because they really need him in the lineup. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the wrestling. We're moving on to wrestling, guys. Iowa barely beats Illinois 25-19. It was 19-19 going into the heavyweight match. Each had won. I mean, it was 19-19 going in at that point. Iowa had won 4 matches to 5 for Illinois at that point. And so Tony Casprioni comes up. He has a tech fall, I believe, in that game. And he gets a stall call win too. So he got 6 points for that. So Iowa wins 25-19. So he got 6 points for that win, and they badly needed that. And Iowa got some bonus points along the way. That kind of helped Iowa along the way too. So Spencer Lee, he had a pin at 125, and that's his 44th straight match win. Just think, if this guy had been healthy, how many matches he could have running his streak right now. He probably could double that easily. He didn't wrestle at all last year, only a half a year this year so far, and a half a year last year. Not last year, but the year before. So this guy, he I can't imagine how many matches he could have actually be running in a row right now. Max Mirren came through at 149 for a pin. Patrick Kennedy got a 15-4 win at 165, and Abe Assad got a decision at 184. I believe he won 3-1. Okay, 184. So those are the 5 guys that won for the Hawkeyes, and it's got to say, when you get like Illinois, I mean, I didn't know they were that good. I mean, I didn't know they were that tough. Is Iowa the second ranked dual team and tournament team in the nation? Well, no, we won't know until that actually happens. But I will tell you, it's yeah, it's not there right now, in my opinion. But hey, who's to say? I'm not the coach, but Iowa comes through and wins another close match, another duel. Okay, so that's about all I got to say today, except for I didn't want to say too much on football. And so because we're gonna save that, guys, we're gonna this week sometime we're gonna do a thing on the future of Iowa football, and we're just waiting. I don't know what day we're gonna do it. Probably later in the week, um, in the evening, so that Paul can be a part of it. Jason's agreed. Like I said, Jason's taking a break, but he's agreed to do this future podcast with us because we're really excited. But we're just kind of waiting to see if there's going to be any more changes with the team. Um, like I said, we just added today. We added I don't know how you say it, Dion Parker, an offensive tackle who's 6'5", 300 from in the transfer portal, and that's pretty cool. And then of course over the weekend, you guys heard about Noah Shannon and Joe Evans coming back. They both announced that. Also we signed a defensive end called Jackson Flyer, who's Rodney Flyer's son. You remember, guys, you old timers remember him from old Hawkeye days. You know about Deacon Hill, the quarterback coming in off the transfer portal. So along with what you guys already know, Cade McNamara and Eric All. Um, that's our transfer portal. So right now we've got, if I count, six. The new Kirk. New Kirk is this like 3.0 Kirk? Because six players so far out of the transfer portal in that's pretty cool actually. Because that's probably more than he's ever done. I think the most I've ever seen him do before was two. And I think they're still going after a couple more guys, so there's a chance that they could still nab a couple more guys and make this one of their larger transfer portal classes. But they almost need to because Keegan Johnson, Arlen Bruce, Alex Padilla, Reggie Bracy, Justin Jacobs, Terry Roberts, Carson May, and Gavin Williams have all left via the transfer portal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm missing somebody. I think I'm missing somebody, one or two people. Also, we already know that Merriweather, Van Ness, and Laporta are leaving, all with a year of eligibility left to go to the draft. They want to be in the draft, so they're leaving for the draft. Also leaving, I presumably hoping that they're going to go for the draft, is Seth Benson, Monty Padabon, and John Wagner. They all signed agents, so I assume, although they didn't come out and say, "Hey, we're going to declare for the draft." I believe they're all seniors anyway, and they all signed agents, so I believe they're all going to try to get themselves either drafted or signed on as free agents after the draft. Of course, you guys all know we lost a decommit when Cade Proctor flipped to Alabama. So those are those are our big losses for this year. And I didn't even mention the natural seniors who are already gone. Like Riley Moss, who's already used up all of his eligibility and things like that. But oh yeah, and of course Nico Recchiini will be back too. So all in all, I mean, like I said, this will be a good talk for the three of us when we go live this week with that talk. But all in all, I am pretty darn excited about what we're seeing on paper. On paper, this team looks like it's going to compete next year as long as we can get some stuff ironed out. Okay, on the offense, and also with this Parker commit today, he mentioned that he really liked George Barnett, the all line coach, and that was the reason why he came. And so I would think that George Barnett is not going anywhere, as much as people would like to think. So maybe they figured that the O line issues this year weren't his issues, that it was experience, and maybe some people are just unteachable. Some people just don't learn. I can think of one name on a line. I'm not going to say his name, but he's been there for 4 years and he still hasn't got it down. He's still, but by active nobody else there, I guess he's still better than other people that are there. And the other thing I'd like to throw out there is nobody seems to know about what's going on with David Davidoff. Is he still a Hawkeye? Will he be back in the Hawkeye uniform this year, or is he gone? I've seen nothing that has indicated either way, but maybe I missed it, that he left the Hawkeye program, that he retired from football, or that he's coming back. Because honestly, right now, I'm confused, and I keep wondering. No, because this is a young man. If he gets his act together, can help the offensive line next year as well. I mean, that'll give us more bodies. Okay, guys. I'm going to get out of this one. This has only been about a 25-minute show, but my podcasts tend to be shorter when there's only me, because I get to do all the talking. I don't have to stop and wait for the other two to talk. So, but it's been fun, guys, and enjoy the rest of your evening. The Jaguars are coming up on TV here. Um, ooh, according to this, about 15 minutes from now. Okay, so watch that, and I'm guessing that the Chiefs won pretty big over the Raiders. I watched half of that game, but I watched mostly the women's, and so I didn't get to see the end of the Chiefs game. But I'm pretty sure they won pretty big over the Raiders, who are a hot mess right now. All right, guys, I am out. This is the end of my broadcast. See you later.